Do you ever get a "why didn't you come" from somebody who never actually invited you to something? I was scrolling Instagram a couple of days ago and came across this post. You'll know the type. Sad music, slow text, the general vibe that your entire existence is somehow this quiet tragedy. This one happened to inform me that I am a floater friend. And I thought about that for a minute because, yeah, that's pretty much me. It's been me my whole life. A floater friend is apparently somebody who moves between different groups, gets along with pretty much everybody, but never quite lands as the core of any single one. Well liked, easy to be around, and somehow still on the outside looking in. I didn't know it had a name, but of course it does. But I recognized it right off the bat. And I'm curious. If you're a guy watching this, I want to know if this hits you the same way it hits us. I have thought on that, but we'll get to that in a couple of minutes. So let's talk about it, because I don't think the depressing music is right. But first, welcome back to the channel. I'm Rachel. Now, here's what being a floater friend looks like from the inside. You get that "why didn't you come" from somebody who never actually invited you. You make plans with somebody who cancels a lot until it's convenient for them. So at some point you just stop making plans with them. You have that friend who calls out of the blue and tells you that you're the one who really gets them, knows them better than anybody, and that you can go years without talking and just pick right back up. And they're not wrong. But the calls or the coffee happen on their schedule, not yours. And eventually, you notice that. People who assume you wouldn't want to come to something without ever asking. We just figured you wouldn't want to. Okay, thanks. Good talk. And the specific loneliness of feeling like everybody's friend and nobody's favorite. Being in that group chat, but not that other group chat. You know the one. Nobody necessarily meant anything by it. That's almost the point. That's just how groups work. And you're just outside it, and most people don't even notice. Doesn't matter how old you are. You'd think at some point it stops being weird and uncomfortable. It doesn't. Not entirely. The shape of it changes, but the feeling is pretty much the same at 50 as it was at 15. Now, for me, I've got to be honest about my part in all this. I am a people watcher. Always have been. I watch behavior. I hate drama. I genuinely cannot stand gossip. Not being self-righteous here, it just makes me want to leave the room. I call out bullshit when I see it. I haven't been a big partier in years, and that's partly because I did some pretty stupid stuff when I was younger, and I learned a few things about myself. And long before I mostly stopped drinking, I stopped doing it in crowds where I don't know everyone because I have trust issues. Not the kind that needs a whole thing, just the kind you develop when you've been paying attention to people for a long time. Or you've done some pretty stupid shit yourself. And I fall into both categories. All of that makes you a lot of things. Easy to talk to, good in a crisis, the person somebody calls when they actually need someone. It does not get you elected to the inner circle, though. I've really never been a part of a clique, never been in the in crowd, not in school, not as an adult, not anywhere. Now, I don't know that this hits men the same way it hits women. Men's friendships tend to run more casual and group-oriented anyway. And God, I am so jealous of that. For women, it's different. Women's social groups can be intense and close and also kind of ruthless about who's in and who's out. The exclusion isn't always loud. It's nothing dramatic, just the subtle feeling of not quite belonging. And that has got a specific kind of sting to it. For a long time, I resented it. I got my feelings hurt. I got jealous of people who seemed to just belong somewhere, because those are the people that love to show everybody how much they are part of a group. And at some point, I was just done with that. I'm me. Take it or leave it. And most of that resentment just dissolved when I stopped trying to be something I wasn't. Now, what do I have to show for it? A ridiculous, broad, weird, wonderful group of people who have absolutely nothing in common with each other except me. People from every walk of life and occupation. I'm the thread. And yeah, There are a lot of people who know me, but not a lot of people who really know me. And I am perfectly okay with that. My kids are the same way. They're not clique people either, but they have their people, and I have mine. And I have my husband and my kids. We actually do things together. We actually like each other. I mean, that's everything. That's a lot of people's whole wish list right there. What I have figured out about floater friends is that it takes real social fluency to do what we do, moving between completely different groups, reading every room, never losing yourself in any of them. That is a skill, and it takes a little bit of guts to refuse to force yourself into spaces you've outgrown just to avoid being alone. Most people won't do that. Floater friends just don't. The people at the center of every group get belonging. The people on the edges get perspective. Belonging has never been the thing we value the most anyway. Authenticity has. And that is absolutely not a personality or a character flaw. So, is there something actually wrong with being a floater friend? Does it hurt sometimes? Yeah, I'm not going to pretend otherwise. But is the thing itself bad? The floating, the moving between worlds, the never being the core of one group? I don't think so. And here's just another small observation. We named this because, of course we did. We name everything now. Every experience, every way of moving through the world gets a label and a diagnosis and an Instagram soundtrack. Maybe this is a Gen X thing, but we grew up being told that we were slackers, we were cynical, we were the lost generation, none of which was true, and all of which missed the point completely. So I have a pretty low tolerance for being labeled and stuffed into a category. We watched our whole generation get flattened into a bumper sticker, and we didn't particularly like it then either, Turns out, this instinct goes back farther than we do, but we seem to have lost it again. There's actually a song about it. I think her name is Malvina Reynolds. She wrote it in 1962. You might know it. I honestly first heard it as a theme song to a show called Weeds. It's called Little Boxes. Part of the lyrics and the people in the houses all went to the university where they were put in boxes and they came out all the same. Now, small side note, you want to hear my favorite version? Go listen to Walk Off the Earth. Good band. Very different. Anyway, we've been stuffing people into little boxes for a long time. These micro-labels try to sum up a person's entire essence in a few words. But human beings are complex and we're fluid, and we don't or shouldn't particularly like being filed away like that. I mean, the label isn't wrong exactly. I am a floater friend. The problem is what comes attached to it. The ominous music and the implication that you need fixing. Because I don't think you do. And here's why. Carl Jung talked about something called individuation. Yes, philosophy again. But stay with me here because it means something. It's the lifelong process of becoming a whole, distinct person. Not who your family needs you to be, not who the group expects. Just totally yourself. Most people do this work really slowly and kind of reluctantly. Usually something has to force them into it. Floater friends have been doing it their whole lives without knowing it had a name. Jung also made a distinction worth thinking about. Some people are geared toward the outer world, events, groups, social energy, and some of us are pulled toward the inner world, reflection, meaning, the work of figuring out who you actually are. I've never been somebody who thrives in the outer world. And I don't think that's a flaw in the wiring anymore. I think it's just a different orientation. He talked about the persona, the mask we wear in different social situations. Most people develop one. Floater friends develop several, and they know it. That awareness, the ability to move between completely different worlds without losing yourself in any of them, isn't a flaw. It's not something to be embarrassed about. I think it's actually a pretty sophisticated way to move through life, and I think Jung would agree. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you. It might actually mean the opposite. Here's what nobody tells you about being a floater friend. You do find your people, not a group. specific people, the ones who check on you without a prompt, without an agenda, without waiting for it to be convenient. And I gotta say this, I started talking about things on this channel that I always thought were just mine, just weird Rachel things, because I wondered if it really was just me. And I found out I wasn't nearly as unique as I thought. There is something real about realizing you're not the only one. The thing that you thought made you an outsider is actually just a type of person. And there are more of us than the ominous music would have you believe. You are not broken. You are not an afterthought. You just never outsourced your whole identity to one single group. Yeah, sometimes it's lonely. Not going to lie about that. But I know who I am. I know my people, the real ones, the ones I choose who choose me back. And that's everything you need. Thanks for watching. Take care of you, and I will see you the next time. Bye-bye.